Great news, everyone! Now, usually we talk about the gaming news for Genshin Impact. This time it's global wide, so Genshin Impact is actually sending shockwaves across the financial world of how much it has earned in the past 10 days. So if you look at multiple articles, we can see that Genshin Impact has earned at least 100 million USD since the global launch to October 10. And this is probably underestimating how much they have earned in multiple sources. The game itself has generated more than 200 million downloads with the Apple and Google App Store, and on top of that there's PS4, there's also PC platform of the game. You can also see on this article here, so basically miHoYo has recovered the development cost for the entirety of 3 to 5 years of Genshin Impact within 2 weeks. So those are great news for us as the Genshin Impact gamers, because we're heavily invested our time and our interest in the game. We want to know the game as well. Now, if you haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so. Make sure you also turn the bell on for the latest news as I find more of them for us. You can see that we're really dedicated for Genshin Impact. We'll have builds, guides, tips, news, and events updates for everything that's Genshin Impact related. But what does it really mean for us, and what are the Genshin Impact's road ahead of us, and what should we expect with the game, and how should we approach this particular game? Let's have a look firstly at the scale of the global launch. So 100 million USD dollars in 10 days means 10 million USD a day, or 420k USD every hour. This is quite incredible in any sense for the gacha games. I've tried many of the gacha games in my past history, Summoner's War. Lately I've tried Exo Heroes as well, so lots of different gacha games, and this by far is the most influential and one of the best gacha games that was created on multiple platforms as well. So when we say that the developers miHoYo earned 3 to 5 years of the development cost, about 200 million in 2 weeks, what that means is they actually spent a lot on the great localization, the voice acting, the translation to 4 different languages, and multiple subtitles to count. The company itself is a pretty massive company in China that has over 300 employees, and they had a great success with Honkai Impact. If you haven't seen Honkai Impact, this is what Honkai Impact looks like. It was a very popular action game on iOS. Now, knowing the developers miHoYo is doing great financially, it's really good news for us. Knowing that they spent years in building the game is also great news. And understanding that they are a massive company and with experience of previous success of the games allow us to predict their future perspectives. So let's go a little deeper. So this is coming from a bit of my financial knowledge and a bit of the understanding of how company manages. So what do we likely to expect? We're likely to expect a bit of the company expansion, and likely this will enhance into quicker contents. And I've actually seen, my friend showed me, in some of the Chinese movies, they start to have miHoYo logos under the movies. So they might even be making animated movies accordingly towards the game. Similar to how Blizzard makes a lot of great cinematics, they might be making some of those towards in the future. And there is definitely likely going to be more events with logging, participation, co-op, and the forums. What I'll do is I'll keep us updated with everything, and I'll be able to translate things with Chinese to English to help us to prepare for things to come. Now, most of us know there will be new story and content that is coming, new units, new cities. Many of us might not realize how big the game is intended to be. So initially when I was first introduced to the game, I was told it's bigger than Zelda. You know Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is a massive open world RPG game. So this game has 7 cities in total. Currently only 2 cities is available, and those 2 cities are pretty massive. So where do I have the information from? Let's go down here, and if you go on to the section, you can see the voice actors from 4 different language media center. And if you keep going down with the main page of Genshin Impact, what you're going to see the news, and you're going to see the 2 cities, and it says coming soon. So what's happening is there are 7 cities in total for us to enjoy in the game, and currently we're seeing only of the 2 cities. With this knowledge in mind, we know there is going to be a lot of content, a lot of characters in the time to come. And if we come back over here, we can see the roadmap for Genshin Impact with different patches. Patch 1.1 on the 11th of November, patch 1.2 on the 23rd of December, and patch 1.3 likely to be on February. Where am I getting the information from? It's from the official forum where the developers publicly spoke about their plans for the future. This is a translated page. We do have a video which we talk about the exact dates for each of those, and the links for those pages are included if you want to have a quick look. So to summarize, what we see here is we're going to see the version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 that is to be expected with different upgrades, with different cities and contents added to the game. Now, knowing the game makes a lot of money and the company is experienced with a lot of employees and they have plans to expand the game in the future, we can also look at the community and the Reddit and YouTube community. Initially, when I was first looking to Reddit, we had about 20,000, 30,000 people on Reddit. Now we're looking at 10,000 people growth a day, and we're about 360 travelers on Reddit. And this is very similar to YouTube. Our community of YouTube members on Discord, on YouTube, and everywhere else are a lot of content creators which hasn't played any of the gacha games or any of the animated games that are coming into this game for two reasons. One, it is popular, it is great voice acted, great story, and also it's free to play. So a lot of the audience is actually playing the game and trying it out. Now, while we're talking about the games being free to play and it's very catchy, it is important for us to understand the potential dangers of gacha games. Because younger people who are more vulnerable to gambling and the gacha system may be attracted by the game's graphics and animated style, but not understanding how much they can overspend and how this might develop into a future problem. Now, most of you who have seen a few of my videos know that I have talked about the free-to-play system and its dangers on this video, and I've touched on our latest video as well. The reason I am emphasizing on the dangers of free-to-play games is not only to share this with the community and our viewers, but also for my family and friends. I have a younger sister who is below the age of 18 who's currently playing the game as well, and I know her friends, a lot of kids from school also plays the games. It's surprising how the gaming communicates and expands onto the younger generation because it's free to play and most of them have a PS4. So meanwhile the game is doing great, we still have to stress out. With everything in life, there can be positives and negatives. And the negative of how fast the game is expanding is that people might not be aware of the dangers of it. Now, with the knowledge of that the company is making lots of money and the update that is coming and the expansions and the new content that is coming, how should we approach the game? I've actually seen quite a bit of the news and Reddit and also YouTubers about the concerns and the complaints about the reason system and the game slowing down. There isn't that much content. I've actually seen a few of the comments saying, the reason for the game to be slowed down is because people do play it, 12 hours a day for the past 3 weeks, and this kind of depletes the game out of content. What I want to suggest is take it slow and take it easy. There's no need to rush. We're not competing like a PvP game. We have to compete with another player. We're here to enjoy the game at our own pace. Now, if we do spend a lot deeper into the game, what's going to happen is we do have the need for more content. Imagine this, you go to a $50 movie, you expect the movie to be top quality. You don't expect, a low quality movie. If you go to a $10 movie or if you go for a free movie, there's less expectations. If you don't spend too deep into the game, anything that comes with the game, login events, participation, co-op events, new content, makes it so joyful and so exciting to look towards to. But if we spend too deeply, we have to justify and artificially justify the extra cost we're putting into the game. And this also follows to my next point, because the game is free to play, we should really appreciate the animated and Zelda kind of open world RPG style of the game. We can also acknowledge the game is not perfect. There are parts I get stuck in a wall, there are parts, the monster just flies on top of me. I'm okay with that, because, nothing's perfect. They're still working on it, and I know they have the resource and the people and the skills to go further. With that much amount of money they're making every day, they definitely have the resource to go further. Now, on the point of understanding this game is not an MMORPG, I do have a hardcore World of Warcraft player who was #1 in the guild for a few years. He's like, hey dude, I played the game, it's not a game for me. Like, where am I grinding? Like, there is no end game. What's wrong with this game? I had to explain to him, this is not an MMORPG like World of Warcraft, which have monthly subscription. I have been there before back in my lives, grinding for gears and farming for the guild and raids as well. This game is more of a mobile game that has a PC platform and also the PS4 platform. What that means is most mobile games don't try to take too much of your time. They might take 1 or 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. They try to not take all your times because most of the audience are working individuals who has to work. If you're working, you can't play the game. So ideally, the game can be completed within 1 hour or 2 hours a day, and that might even consider to be too long in the game. So if we want to see the game as a full day game, which we can spend 12 hours a day for the next 3 or 4 months, it's going to be very hard for us. But at the same time, if we understand how nice the game can be for exploring, solving puzzles, and just enjoys the voice acting characters, or maybe even the music or the change of the sceneries or the weather, it's still a very, very lovely game. To summarize this video, yes, Genshin Impact is making shockwaves of news across the financial world. Not just the gaming world, guys, across the financial world. Because it's making so much money at such a short time, this is going to change the landscape of gacha games and how mobile companies sees games. They might consider going onto the PC platform now. They might consider doing what the gacha game is doing, so we're lifting up the standards of the game. And we definitely made a great investment of our time and of our energy to get into the game, because we're the first few to actually see the game with its potential and actually to enjoy this game for how good it can be. Knowing the game makes this much money at launch and the game is actively advertising on YouTube and across multiple platforms. I often see the advertisement of Genshin Impact on my YouTube videos, on every YouTube video actually. I see a lot of advertisement, so they're definitely expanding their resource, they're expanding their market and audience. The game is recovered on its development cost, so all the money now they get is going to go towards developing and expanding the games into future patches and also more content, more story, more cities to come. It is very important for us to not rush the game, because if you start to rush the game, very quickly the game becomes boring, and then if you spend a lot of money in the game, you're not feeling justified for the money you spent. And after we realize that the game is not an MMORPG, it's more of a mobile game on the PC platform, we can then look towards to enjoy the simple things in life. For example, finding your moral chest in a bank. If you haven't seen that video, guys, check it out. The chests do respawn. If you haven't seen the video about the golden chest respawning, definitely check it out. There I talk about the locations and the times of the rarity of the chest that respawns in the game. All of them do respawn at a certain chance, and you always want to check the moral chest for the 200,000 moral in the bank. And lastly, if there's more Genshin Impact and MiHoYo related news, let's say if they're making an anime series, if they're making a movie, I'll let you guys know as well, because I'm quite excited to see the company doing so well and getting rewarded for their excellent work. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and also turn the little bell on for the latest news. I'll be looking towards to make more builds, guides, tips, and news and event updates for us as we come further into the game. And as always, I wish you guys the best of luck with Gathering and have the most fun in exploring this wonderful world.